Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Stories and a Cup. Today we explore the story of an incredible guest whose journey is filled with courage, reinvention, and quiet strength. She moved from the UAE to the United States in her 40s, navigating not only a new culture, but a new chapter of life as a single woman. Her story is one of resilience, rediscovery, and embracing independence in a way she never imagined possible. So whether you're going through a transition or simply craving inspiration, this episode is for you. Settle in and take a breath as we dive into this remarkable story. Thank you, Dana, for joining us.
Thanks for having me here with you, Hidayah.
So we're going to start from the beginning. What was your impression when you arrived to the US a couple of years ago?
I was living in in UAE, and I wasn't really planning to move to the States on 2020, but I had to do that due to some circumstances that aligned with the time that I already got my green card approved. So I said, okay, let's do it. So I resigned from my job in UAE and I moved to the States. I still had to start from scratch. Now, a couple of my family members were in the States before me, and that helped me a little bit to ease the process for me. So I came, but then I was struggling, how do I get started? My focus at the initial stages was to find a job that relates to my career experience. And that was my number one goal. So I was working in mortgage industry. I worked for 12 years. I was confidently applying for jobs here in the States, thinking that I'm going to find something. But the challenge was that everyone was asking me they wanted a domestic experience, and I didn't have any until the company that I finally landed on. The funny part here is that in the interview, they asked me, do you know anything about secondary markets? And I said, yeah, I know, thinking that the secondary market in the UAE is the one that they have here in the States, but I figured out it's different. So I said, okay. And they liked the idea and they hired me. Boom, I have a job.
That's amazing.
But then on the first week of training, I figured out that, the secondary market I was talking about is different from what they meant. So it's a challenge for me. I had to lift up myself to the definitions of this market, to how this market works. It was really different and difficult. However, because I had my family around me, at least I'm not struggling with loneliness at this stage. So just focus on your job. Get it right.
Yeah.
And I passed they do some teach backs and exams for you to make sure that you are qualified to do the job. And I passed it. And I was surprised of myself. But I was also celebrating myself because it was really challenging. And I got my job. I feel more stable now, 5 years have passed already.
MashaAllah.
Just to answer your question, my first challenge was finding a job. But then now I probably have different challenges. Next challenge then.
What was a culture shock that you faced? Or maybe there's more than one.
Yeah, so when we came, it was just the beginning of COVID. So everyone was starting, everyone was just in the house.
That's a tough time.
Exactly. So even when I'm telling you, I got my job, it was just remote. I stayed working remotely a year and a half. I didn't really have much interaction with people outside. So I can't really tell you anything that was, shocking to me. But during those period of time, those days, I was able to explore remotely also how things are, how people work, how people talk, how people think. Maybe social media helped me a little bit. I didn't have much relations during COVID. I took the shock eventually.
It was a gradual.
And when they told us to return to the office, that's when I started feeling, okay, there are things that maybe you should go to the street to feel it and to understand it, rather than social media doesn't really give you all the vibes.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt okay, there are some challenges being a Muslim person, especially maybe women, how the media have stereotyped Muslim women being submissive, being backward maybe, and you have to prove otherwise, which is I didn't have to prove anything when I was working remotely. But so
what aspects of the American culture would you say was welcoming?
Seriously, people are very nice.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen so far, people are very much respectful to the difference. At least maybe that's the work environment. Now we hear stories about people maybe harassed, but nothing so far happened with me. I've been here 5 years. The last 5 years, I've been all the time treated perfectly at work. When I go in public places, I never see someone, staring at me or anything.
Yes.
But I still hear stories that from time to time with other people.
Yeah.
But as a Muslim woman, I never so far, I never experienced anything, but it doesn't mean I'm not gonna experience anything.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Most of the time I go to work, that's where I meet people. They are welcoming, but they don't really ask questions about your
Yes.
background.
Yes.
Rarely. I've been 5 years now. They don't really go in deep discussions about your background, which I respect.
I think it creates that professional environment.
Exactly. Because in our homelands, we talk much about where you come from and what's your beliefs and stuff, and we find it normal. But here it's just I don't really have to know where this person comes from or how many family members he has.
Yes.
We don't talk about stuff like that here.
Yeah.
And I started to adapt to those things.
Yes.
Going to work, I should know what to talk about and what not to talk about. I have to have that hybrid character where you balance between your religious, your cultural background, and the American values at the same time.
So as we're talking about values, what are some of the values that Dana is holding on to as she navigates life in her 40s?
I would say sticking to the truth no matter what, respecting your boundaries, putting boundaries for people, having self-representation in a way that you don't want people to misunderstand you, so you also have to practice or to build the skill of how to present yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because of the misconception, because of the stereotype they have to judge you. I'm not saying you have to prove yourself all the time, but I'm saying sometimes a simple body language or maybe a simple expression could be misunderstood. So you have to live up to how people express things here, to make sure that you fit in. Maybe the concept of fitting in doesn't always sound positive because you don't really have to please everyone.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's necessary, I think, especially maybe for me in professional life.
Yeah.
I don't really have to be blunt. I don't have to be just because I like saying the truth. No, your truth for them is rudeness, maybe. For example, I can tell my Arabic friend if she does any sort of cosmetic thing, I could tell her my frank opinion. I can't tell someone here, oh, you lost weight. It's rude. Or you gained weight. Never talk about weight here. So one of my values here is to really live people's values here. You don't have to carry everything you know. You just be blunt and serious. I was mentioning we need to have that hybrid character.
Yes. I love how you refer to a hybrid character.
Because you still don't have to surrender your values, but at the same time, be considerate of others.
I love that.
Yeah.
Navigating life in your 40s as a single woman here in the United States, would you say it was easier living in the UAE being single, or do you feel like it may be easier here?
Well, there are a couple of aspects here. So being single in Middle East countries sometimes is labeled. Sometimes is it means it gets translated to something, I don't have that load here. We do have some Arab communities here. We have Muslim communities, but they don't pressurize you on that. They don't ask you questions people don't talk here about those topics. So I'm happy from that aspect. But despite that, I have my family in both countries. But when I came here, I had still to do stuff physically with my hands. And thanks to the United States, now I know how to assemble things. I know how to do home fixtures. In UAE, just a simple call, even if you're from IKEA, you get someone to assemble everything to you. But here, first, they are expensive and the service is not available all the time. So sometimes you have to do stuff by your hand. So that's one of the things that being single, I can't rely on my father. My father, alhamdulillah, he's may God bless him always with his health. But I can't always, ask him to lift heavy stuff. Sometimes he helps me, but sometimes I say, okay, suck it up. Let's do it. So I had to go to YouTube. I had to go or maybe ask ChatGPT on stuff. And I feel I'm pretty much doing so good now in home fixtures.
Mashallah, that's
to some level, which I'm proud. There's some social pressure on you. But I was able still to have friends. It wasn't challenging for me. But here, making friends is harder because young people married, they come, they establish life here, they start a family. So usually they look for people who have kids because First of all, distances are huge here
Yeah.
between cities, and the Arab community or Muslim community specifically are diverse between different cities. So as a single person, I'm finding it a little bit challenging making friends because people look for a common interest, and no one has an interest with someone who doesn't have kids. We can't talk the same topics, but it's just like, I mean, you spend time really finding friends. And maybe men's life, maybe if I'm a single man, is different. But I feel like for women and a conservative women like me, wearing hijab, you want to have someone who has the same values, has free time that you have. So I'm having challenge, but alhamdulillah, my family is big enough to fill my time.
Your nieces and nephews.
We have, mashallah, we have
Mashallah,
like 12 now in the
Mashallah.
and it's really like overwhelming sometimes when you have all of them in the house. And we meet, mashallah, every Saturday. So I was telling my friends from UAE because we still connect, and I say hi to them. So I always tell them, you feel here, despite that I'm single, like how I was in the UAE, but here I don't have free time. Much like how I used to have in the UAE. I used to spend like Saturdays and Sundays just thinking, what should I do? Because I don't have anything to do. But here, because of the family gatherings, my time is filled. And because I'm taking responsibility of related to the house, maybe my job, I don't know. But I feel like here I'm busier. So yeah, things just changed.
Just listening to you, it feels like you've learned a lot in 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. And I sometimes appreciate the experience because I'm taking additional responsibility, not additional, but I'm just taking some variety of the experience, maybe facing your challenges, because I have different challenges here comparing to the UAE, how to deal with them. So yeah, it is different.
So I want to pause for a second and ask you, while starting over life in the last couple of years, has that helped you reconnect with parts of yourself as Dana that maybe you hadn't connected to prior to?
I think if I would frame it right, it's the part where you'd say, okay, I have no options, but I have to do it. Because I wasn't having any sort of like challenges or hardships in the UAE where I had to think this way. But here I felt like, okay, I can take it up by myself. I mean, I don't know stuff, just pick the phone.
I love that.
Talk to people, do stuff by yourself, research. I found out actually that because I have less social life here, maybe that gives me time to explore other things I want to learn. I figured that I'm eager to learn new stuff. I was trying to understand how bookkeeping works as a second skill that could serve me in future, maybe.
So it feels like you're connecting with ways to
self-development.
Yes, I was just about to say to self-develop, and you didn't have time to do that before.
No.
Right.
Back in the UAE, all the self-development I was doing is just like how to make social life better. I would say like shallow, maybe. Shallow. Here it's deeper.
It's deeper. Yeah. And if we were to say, what were some of the most empowering parts of the journey for you so far?
Maybe the welcoming environment I got at work, maybe having the family around me, those empowered me. It's harder if you really start everything from scratch by yourself. Like if there's any Muslim lady, Arab lady in my age thinking to come here by herself where she has no family, no ties with anyone, please think before you do it. Having my brother and my sister before me helped me, like at least like it saved my time of some part of the research I was doing. It was just my brother Habibi, like he was telling me like in the beginning when I landed here, like maybe after 2 weeks from being in Dallas, he was just explaining to me what is the name of the highway and how Dallas is divided. And he drew it actually. No, he drew it on a paper and told me like, this is how things work
that's
here.
amazing. Yes.
He was very helpful. My Habibi, I love him.
Yeah, mashallah, tabarakallah. So having that support gave you that head start. Yes.
Yeah. It would have taken me much more time if I start just from scratch. So
do you feel like you have a definition of freedom and fulfillment here that would have been different if you were still in the UAE?
But I have more freedom here. I'm still conservative. I'm still wearing my hijab the same way. I haven't changed my values. It's just like the things that I like to do there, but I was under the social pressure that as a Muslim woman, you can do it. I feel like I can do it here, you know? Like I can go to a restaurant and sit by myself when I was in UAE. I couldn't do it. It was just awkward.
I see what you mean.
I know, but here it's okay if I want to just sit somewhere and have a coffee. I mean, you know, I don't drink coffee, but maybe a tea, or I can do it by myself. No one is gonna stare at me. No one is gonna judge me. So, simple pieces of freedom. I'm not gonna say like huge freedom, but simple lifestyle freedoms. The only thing that I missed, if I remember correctly, is that back in the UAE, because alhamdulillah, it was also a safe country, I was able to stay late till 11, 12 sometimes. But here, that's the only part that I feel like I'm set back with. This part is that I don't feel comfortable driving late.
So, what would Dana tell her younger self that grew up in the UAE in an Arab, conservative Muslim culture, and that now is this strong, independent woman in her 40s? If you were to look back and talk to younger Dana in her 20s, what would you tell her?
I would tell her, I'm proud of you, Dana. You made it by yourself. You're a hard worker. Every challenge you faced, you passed it. You cherish the family around you. I would tell myself maybe one thing is that if you learned more skills or if you invested on yourself at earlier stage, life would be easier for you now. It took me time. Like maybe I found what I like just like at a later stage. But I feel like if I had, you know, deeper self-awareness or deeper self-exploration to know what I like, it could have helped me at this stage. Okay. I feel like maybe I should have invested on myself.
But you're proud of Dana.
Definitely, big time, of course. My best friend. Definitely.
I love that.
Definitely, yeah.
Have you established a sense of belonging now?
Well, tricky question, because at some point, yes, and at some point, no. So let me tell you, just a month ago, I was on a trip to Cairo, then I went back to UAE. And everyone was asking me, like, do you want to, just leave the States and come back to UAE? And I said, no. Despite that, and let me tell you this, when I arrived in the airport at Abu Dhabi, there was a board sign saying, welcome to Abu Dhabi or something. And I read it like, welcome home.
Aww.
I felt that I'm coming back because I was born and I lived all my life, all the relations I had, all my friendships. When I came back that visit, just 4 days or 5 days, and I was like, okay, I liked it. I liked how the city is clean and everything is serviced and everything. Fine, okay, but I don't want to live back in the UAE. Because in the UAE, just to answer your question, I had the feeling of belonging because everyone looks the same. Yes, there are some, foreign nations living there, but it's okay. But you fit in along the society.
Yes.
Here it's different because, first of all, as I said, Muslim women are stereotyped in the movies and the social media that we are being oppressed. And I always feel like, oh, now what this person is going to think about me being hijabi, being Muslim or Arab or whatever. And maybe this question will let me talk more about how I experience people at work. The fact that no one tries to explore, no one tries to understand where you come from, it made me feel like, okay, is it because they have that stereotype? They don't want to touch sensitive topics with me. What exactly is the barrier, Because I'm learning stuff in their culture, but no one even asks me, like, sometimes, like, the HR department will put articles about things going around, like, which touches other cultures, like Diwali, Hanukkah, but they never mention anything about Arabs or Muslim days. Yes, we are still minority, but similarly, like Diwali people are minority, Hanukkah people are minority, but we just feel like we aren't being mentioned anywhere. Definitely. And, in the DEI, everyone needs to feel that he's included. Yeah. Everyone has the same rights, culturally, religiously, whatever. And that's a point. Like in offices, so many Muslim people work and like they don't have a place to go in. And I frankly saying, I don't have the courage to go and ask for a prayer room because I don't know how this will be perceived. I did it once and I regret. That's why maybe I prefer working remotely. I don't struggle with that part.
Right.
Feeling of belonging, again, I feel now that I'm used to this community. I can't say any sort of challenge. Again, my relationships are not huge here, but I feel like at some point you are still not exactly fitting in the society. No.
But
maybe if I've been here for more than 10 years, or maybe if I was raised here, it's going to be different. Not
Right.
everyone will struggle, but it's
Yeah.
just like depending on your values. Maybe just speak directly to the single Muslim woman, because that's the case I'm in. So if they plan to move to the States, maybe run your research before you do it. Plan it. Think about your social life. I mean, it's not going to be easy to make friends, in my opinion. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm an introvert, but I just feel like it's not easy because the interests are different.
Yes.
Being single comparing to someone who has kids. And also think financially, because singles are ripped off with tax.
Oh.
But so that's one thing. If you are a single person, now this fits on, and whether you're a man or a woman, it fits for both. But you don't have a support system around you and you're coming by yourself, do your math, because taxations here are high for single. And mostly by end of the year, you don't get any returns. Mostly. Maybe I was saved from that research because I have someone in this country before. I had someone, I had like two, my brother and my sister, who helped me. But if I started from scratch, I think maybe things would be harder a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Add something, and maybe after you come and settle in the States, keep going to those Arab countries, because that's where you get the sense of feeling of what exactly you want. So, because if you come here, you might just feel like, okay, I'm settled and life will just take you, but then go back, see, like the moment I went to Cairo last month, I told my sister that, oh my God, like I feel there is life there. Here, I mean, it's just work. And if that's something that doesn't bother you, then you're fine. But if you really strive to have a social life and to meet people and, to have different aspects of your how your day goes, not just work, coming back to your house, then think. I mean, I would say keep visiting your home countries or stuff like that.
And I love how you mentioned Cairo a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Even though you're not Egyptian.
No, I went to Cairo 3 times and I don't mind living there, actually.
That's an honor.
Absolutely. I mean, and people in Cairo are so nice,
Oh.
very welcoming. I mean, yeah.
How does your Palestinian identity, how does that affect your experience?
Okay, that's a great question. So, when we returned to the office, I think a year after the thing in Gaza happened, and I was like, okay, I feel like I want to talk, but there's no one to talk to. There was one time that one of my colleagues was talking about it, and then I was stressing that I'm from Palestine and that, I never landed on my land. I never lived there. I don't know how it looks like, except on pictures. I love it through pictures and videos, but I've never been there. I told her that my father wasn't there, never even visited. So the conversation evolved, and the guy who was next to me told me that his parents are Holocaust survivors. And I was like, okay. So I said, okay, how's this gonna go? And then the conversation was never continued later. A year and a half passed, maybe just recently, because he knew that I'm going on leave. So he asked me, Dana, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to Cairo, Lebanon, and then Abu Dhabi. And he was like, he started tearing. He shed tears, really. He shed tears, and he told me, and I really appreciate this from him. He said, I'm Jewish. I go to the synagogue, and I'm very much supportive of what's happening to Palestinians. Okay, I was afraid 2 years ago to continue this conversation because I didn't know how it's gonna go. Despite that, apparently we live in a place where there's freedom to talk, freedom to express. But because I'm the minority and I didn't know how this is gonna end up, so I didn't open this topic with him again. But suddenly and surprisingly and happily, I found that he is towards our side. And I really appreciated he wished me a lot of good wishes. And I think, sometimes we shouldn't really be just like hiding our thoughts. Maybe I should have expressed it. Maybe the ice could have been broken before, earlier. 2 people in my company had asked me, where are you from? And I said, Palestine. That was before. But then I felt like, okay, but they don't ask me questions. I feel like when you tell someone you're from Palestine, especially with what's going, I feel in my perspective like, okay, that's an interesting topic. Why don't they ask me questions about it? It is sad. It is sad.
I think speaking up is always going to be important.
When I get an opportunity, like I'm getting an opportunity now with you, and thanks for that. But I felt like pain in the heart. Pain in the heart when I saw them saying ban all Muslims. I was like, okay, did you even explore what Muslims are? Or it's just what is sold to you? So feeling belonging, again to that question, not 100% yet. We Muslim community, we have to make a lot of work here. Muslim community being more visible, more accepted maybe, but that relies on us. Have to work hard to prove the point. So, and some people are slowly getting it. My lifestyle doesn't really open paths to me to talk with strangers, because I work remotely. I go to the office twice a week, so I don't really have that much opportunity. But I know if some people work every day outside, they meet Americans. Maybe that's a good chance for them to start.
Thank you, Dana.
Absolutely, it was fun talking.
Yes, thank you so much
having me here.
Yes,
thank you.
We appreciate your honesty and your openness.
Thank you. Maybe meet me after 5 years again.
Yeah, you never know.
Additional experience. What happened to that?
Yes. Thank you to everybody listening. Take care of your heart, honor your journey, and keep writing your story.